Today we're going to talk about multiplying decimals. So to multiply decimals, it's very similar to multiplying whole numbers. We are actually going to ignore the decimals and rewrite as whole numbers. So we ignore the decimals. Step 2 is we multiply as if the numbers are whole numbers. Okay. Then at the end, we're going to come back to these steps where we'll add a decimal to the far right of your answer, count the number of digits to the right, move our decimal, and then use estimation to check. So we'll come back to those. So let's start with the first problem. Example 1, 4 5/10 times 1 3/10. So basically what I'm doing is I'm pretending that decimal isn't there. I'm writing this as 45 times 13. So I've eliminated the decimal because we know how to multiply whole numbers. I'm going to start all the way on the right in this second row here to do 45 times 13. So these boxes are just to help you line up the correct place value. Okay, so let's go ahead and multiply. 3 times 5 is 15. Carry the 1. 3 times 4 is 12, plus 1 is 13. If you need your multiplication chart while you're doing this, go ahead and have it out to help you. Okay, so we did 3 times both of the numbers. We're done with the 3, and we're going to put our 0 placeholder before we move on to the 1. Okay, we need to make sure the 1 is lining up with our first number here. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 4 is 4. And then we add. So 5 plus 0 is 5. 3 plus 5 is 8. 1 plus 4 is 5. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to write my answer as is, 585. But if we think about this, if I were to estimate, this rounds to about 5, this rounds to about 1. 5 times 1, so if we thought about it that way, 5 times 1 equals 5. Is that anywhere close to 585? No. So that's when we have to look at these steps, kind of 3 through 6. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to look at the original problem, and I'm going to highlight all of the numbers to the right of the decimal. So in this number, there's 1 digit to the right of the decimal. In this number, there's 1 digit to the right of the decimal. So there are 2 total decimal values. We've got 1, 2. So what that means is starting from the right side here, we should have 2 decimal values. 1, 2. So my decimal should go in between there. And if we were to round that, that's close to about 5. Okay? So again, the most important part of this is we don't line up our decimals when we're multiplying. We ignore them and we apply them in at the end. All right, let's look at example 2. 3 8/10 times 72 hundredths. So again, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite this as whole numbers. When I'm rewriting this as a whole number, I don't really need that 0 right there. So I'm just going to multiply that as 72. So again, I'm going to start on the far right in the second row. So 38 times 72. And let's go ahead and multiply. 2 times 8 is 16. Carry the 1. 2 times 3 is 6. Plus 1 is 7. We are done with the 2. I'm going to put my 0 placeholder. Now we can start with 7. 7 times 8 is 56. 7 times 3 is 21 plus 5 is 26. And then we can add. 6 plus 0 is 6. 7 plus 6 is 40. No, I'm multiplying. 7 plus 6 is 13. Carry the 1. 1 plus 6 is 7. And then 0 plus 2 is 2. So again, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write my answer as is. But again, if we used estimation, this would round to about 4. This would round to about 1, which is around 4. Is 2,736 anywhere close to that? No. So let's go back and figure out how many decimal values we have. So in the first number, I'm highlighting all the numbers to the right of the decimal. So we have one number here, and then we have 2 numbers here. So there's a total of 3 decimal values. So now when we go back, starting on the right side, we should have 1, 2, 3 decimal values. So my decimal goes right in between the 2 and the 7. All right, one more, and then we'll get a you try problem. All right, so we've got a really small number here, 0.0846 times 0.172. So a lot of numbers, 2 numbers that are less than 1. So we're probably going to get a really small number for our answer. So let's go ahead and first rewrite these without the decimals. Again, these zeros to the left here, I don't actually have to use. So I'm just going to multiply this as 846 times 172. Okay, and again, I'm going to start all the way to the far left in the second row. So 846 times 172. And let's go ahead and multiply. 2 times 6 is 12, carry the 1. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9. 2 times 8 is 16. We're done with the 2, put our 0 placeholder. Moving on to 7. 7 times 6 is 42. 7 times 4 is 28, plus 4 is 32. 7 times 8 is 56, plus 3 is 59. So for the other 2, we were done at this point, right? We multiplied 2 numbers and then added. Here, though, we're not multiplying by 2 numbers, we're multiplying by 3. So we're done with the 7, but we have to move on to the 1. Before we move on to the 1, we're not putting 1 placeholder, we're putting 2. So we can start lined up with the 1, okay? So 1 times 6 is 6. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 8 is 8. Now we can add. 2 plus 0 plus 0 is 2. 9 plus 2 plus 0 is 11. Carry the 1. 6 plus 1 is 7. Plus 2 is 9. Plus 6 is 15. Carry the 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. Plus 9 is 11. Plus 4 is 15. Carry the 1. 1 plus 5 is 6. Plus 8 is 14. Okay, we've got a really big number here. I'm going to write down what we've got so far. 1, 4, 5, 5, 1, 2. So really, if we left it as is, 145,512 would equal 2 numbers that are less than 1 being multiplied? No way. Okay, so again, let's go back. Let's see how many numbers are after the decimal. So here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we've got 1, 2, 3. So a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 numbers after the decimal. So 7 decimal values. So now when we go back, you'll notice we don't even have 7 numbers here. So let's see. We should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but I need 7. So if I've got this empty spot here, I'm going to fill that in with a 0, put my decimal to the left, and I'm always going to put a 0 to the left of my decimal. So now if we look at it, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 numbers to the right. All right, for the you try, I would like you to do 35 and 2/10 times 6 and 8/10. Go ahead and try that.